I'll never forget standing in my father's office, but my heart was pounding like crazy when he said, "This law firm isn't for women, Sophie. Go get married and have kids instead." But 3 years later, I stood across from him in court and destroyed his entire business. He thought I wasn't good enough to inherit his company until I proved him very, very wrong. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from tonight. If you've ever been told you're not good enough because of who you are, smash that subscribe button right now. Hit the like button if you believe in proving people wrong, but get ready for a story about what happens when family underestimates you. Sometimes the best revenge is just being better than they ever imagined. My name is Sophie Martinez. I'm 28 years old and I live in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm a Harvard-trained lawyer with fire in my heart, but that fire was lit by my grandmother, who fought for women's rights back in the day. Growing up in Boston's Back Bay, I spent my whole life chasing perfection. Top grades, debate team captain, editor of the Law Review, all so I could earn my place at Martinez & Associates, my father's law empire. But standing in his mahogany-paneled office that day, surrounded by the smell of leather books and his expensive aftershave, my dreams shattered into a million pieces. It didn't matter that I'd graduated summa cum laude or that I could argue circles around anyone. To him, I was just his daughter, meant to marry some rich guy and disappear into the background. My hands clenched into fists as I stared at him across his massive desk. "Carlos doesn't even want the firm, Dad," I said, my voice shaking with anger. "He quit law school, parties every night, but you know he can't run a business. I've earned this." My father Miguel sighed and rubbed his forehead like I was a child having a tantrum. "Carlos is my son, Sophie. It's his right to inherit. I'm protecting you from this stressful world." "Protecting me?" The words felt like a slap across the face. "You're not protecting me," I shot back. "You're holding me back because I'm a woman, but you're too stubborn to admit what I can do." His face went hard, and I knew I'd crossed a line. "That's enough," he snapped. "We're done talking about this." I turned and walked out, my heels clicking on the marble floor, but my heart was screaming louder than my footsteps. I wasn't just fighting for a job. I was fighting for my place in the world. I stormed through our Back Bay townhouse, my anger boiling over as I passed my mother Carmen arranging flowers in the living room. Her gentle eyes met mine, tired but kind. "Sophie, what's wrong, mija?" she asked softly, setting down a lily. I stopped, my frustration spilling over like a dam bursting. "Dad's giving the firm to Carlos," I said, my voice cracking. "He won't let me work there because I'm a woman, but he expects me to just accept it." She sighed, her hands going still, and I saw the weight of her own buried dreams in her expression. "Your father has his ways," she said carefully. "Maybe it's better not to fight him, dear. He thinks he knows what's best for you." I stared at her, shocked. "What's best for me?" I repeated. "Mom, he's throwing away everything I've worked for. How can you defend that?" She looked down, her fingers trembling slightly, and I saw all the years she'd spent keeping quiet to keep peace in our house. "I just don't want you to get hurt, Sophie," she whispered. "Sometimes it's easier to just let things be." Her words hit me like ice water. My mother, who'd once dreamed of being a teacher, had given up her voice for this family, but I couldn't do the same. "I'm not you, Mom," I said gently but firmly. "I can't stay silent." That night, as I lay in bed looking at the Boston Harbor lights through my window, I made a choice. I couldn't wait for my father to change his mind. I had to leave and find a place where my work, not my gender, would define me. The next morning, I was packing my suitcase when my bedroom door opened. My mother stood there, her face pale with worry. "Sophie, what are you doing?" she asked, concern filling her voice. Before I could answer, my father appeared, his face dark with anger. "What's all this?" he demanded. Carlos appeared in the doorway, smirking in his wrinkled t-shirt. "Running away again, Sophie?" he teased. "What's the big deal?" I closed my suitcase and faced them all. "I'm leaving," I said, my voice steady. "Since I'm not wanted at the firm or in this family's plans, I'll find somewhere I am." My father's eyes narrowed. "Don't be ridiculous, Sophie. This is your home. Where would you even go?" I met his gaze without flinching. "Somewhere that values me, Dad. You made it clear I don't belong here, but I'll prove you wrong somewhere else." Carlos laughed, crossing his arms. "You're making this way too dramatic, Sophie. It's just a stupid job." His smugness lit a fire in me. "It's not just a job, Carlos," I snapped. "It's my life. Something you've never had to fight for." My mother reached for me, her voice shaking. "Sophie, please. Let's just talk about this." But I shook my head, grabbing my suitcase. "There's nothing to talk about. You've all made your choice." I walked down the grand staircase, my mother's cries fading behind me as I stepped into the cool Boston morning. For the first time in years, I felt free. Within a week, I had an interview at Thompson & Associates, a top Boston law firm. The moment I walked into their modern downtown office, everything felt different. They didn't care that I was a Martinos. They cared about my Harvard degree and my drive. By Friday, I had the job. My boss, Rebecca Thompson, was a self-made lawyer with a sharp mind and a belief in merit over connections. She saw potential in me and pushed me to take on challenging cases. I thrived, diving into work that tested me, free from my father's shadow. Every late night studying contracts, every victory in the conference room felt like proof that I was enough. But freedom came with a price. At night, in my small Back Bay apartment, the silence was heavy. I missed my mother's gentle hugs, even if she never stood up for me. I even missed Carlos's annoying jokes, though I hated admitting it. Leaving home meant leaving them, but the pain of that choice hit hardest when I was alone. Still, I pushed forward, determined to build a life that was completely mine. Rebecca's mentorship gave me confidence, but my colleagues' respect reminded me I belonged. This wasn't the legacy I'd dreamed of, but it was real, and I was creating it one case at a time. Months passed, and I poured my heart into my work. The cases were brutal, often keeping me in the office until the Boston skyline sparkled below, but I loved the pressure. It made me feel alive. Rebecca started giving me bigger cases, and I was earning a reputation as a rising star at Thompson & Associates. Yet the nights were tough. Coming home to an empty apartment, I'd sit by the window watching the harbor lights and feel the weight of what I'd left behind. I missed my family, even after everything. My mother's soft voice, Carlos's irritating grin. Those memories stung, reminding me of the love I still carried for them. I started questioning myself. Had I been too hasty? Could I have changed my father's mind if I'd stayed? But then I'd remember his words. This law firm isn't for women, and the fire in me would reignite. I wasn't just proving him wrong. I was proving to myself that I could stand on my own. Every case I won, every nod from Rebecca built my confidence. I wasn't just Miguel Martinez's daughter anymore. I was Sophie, a lawyer making her own mark. Still, the loneliness lingered, a quiet reminder of the family I'd walked away from, and I wondered if they'd ever see me for who I'd become. One afternoon, Rebecca called me into her office, her sleek space overlooking Boston Harbor. She leaned back in her chair, her dark eyes studying me carefully. "Sophie, I've got a case for you," she said, her tone serious. "It's big, complicated, but it'll put you on the map." I leaned forward, intrigued. "What's the case?" She paused, then dropped the bombshell. "We're representing a client suing Martinez & Associates for legal malpractice. The stakes are huge, but it's getting major attention." My breath caught. My father's firm. "You want me to go up against my own family?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. She nodded. "You know how they operate, Sophie. You're our best shot. This could define your entire career." My heart raced. This wasn't just a case, it was personal. Taking it meant facing my father and Carlos, proving I was better than they'd ever believed, but also risking what little connection we had left. "I need to think about it," I said quietly. Rebecca nodded. "Take until tomorrow. I know what this means for you." That night I couldn't sleep, my mind spinning. Going against my family could burn every bridge forever. But it was also my chance to show them I was more than they'd ever allowed me to be. By morning, I knew my answer. I walked into Rebecca's office, my resolve solid as steel. "I'm in," I said. She grinned. "Let's make history." The courtroom was electric, the air thick with tension. As I walked in, my briefcase gripped tightly. Across the room, my father and Carlos sat at the opposing table. When our eyes met, I saw their shock. My father's jaw tightened. Carlos's smirk disappeared completely. I set my briefcase down, meeting their gazes without blinking. I wasn't Sophie, their daughter or sister today. I was Sophie Martinez, attorney, and I was here to win. The proceedings began, and I slipped into my role like armor. Every argument, every piece of evidence was sharp and precise. Carlos fumbled, his inexperience obvious as he misstated basic facts. I countered with clarity, my voice steady, my case airtight. My father watched, his face unreadable, but his eyes stayed locked on me. I didn't let it shake me. I cross-examined witnesses with confidence, presented documents with precision, but dismantled Carlos's weak arguments piece by piece. The judge nodded as I spoke, and I could feel the room shift in my favor. Carlos scrambled, completely unprepared, while my father stayed silent, his presence heavy but powerless against my preparation. By the end of the session, it was clear who was in control. I wasn't just fighting for my client. I was fighting for every moment I'd been told I wasn't enough. And I was winning. By the fourth session, Martinez and Associates was crumbling. Carlos's arguments fell apart like tissue paper, but my father's attempts to help couldn't save them. They proposed a settlement, and after tense negotiations, we secured terms that heavily favored my client. As we signed the papers, I caught my father's eye across the room. He looked tired, maybe even regretful. Carlos stared at the table, avoiding me completely. When the session ended, I expected some kind of acknowledgement, maybe just a professional nod, but my father and Carlos gathered their things and left without a word. No handshake, no eye contact, nothing. The silence cut deeper than I expected. I'd won and proven myself beyond any doubt, but their refusal to acknowledge me hurt more than I wanted to admit. I brushed it off, focusing on my client who thanked me over and over. Back at the firm, my colleagues greeted me with cheers. Rebecca clapped my shoulder, grinning wide. "You were unstoppable, Sophie. That was a game changer for us." We celebrated in the conference room, laughter and champagne flowing, but later, alone in my apartment, the victory felt bittersweet. I'd shown the world what I could do, but my family's silence left a hollow ache. Had they finally seen me, truly seen me, or was I just a wound to their pride? The next morning, I walked into my office, the usual buzz of phones and conversations filling the air. Rebecca caught me at the door, her expression strange. "Sophie, your father's here," she said. "He's waiting in your office." My stomach dropped, but I kept my face neutral. "Thanks," I said, heading down the hall. There he was, Miguel Martinez, sitting across from my desk, his hands clasped tightly. He looked up as I entered, his eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. "Sophie," he said quietly, standing up, "I needed to see you." I closed the door, my heart pounding. "What's this about, Dad?" He took a deep breath, steadying himself. "You were incredible in that courtroom," he said, his voice low. "I've seen the best lawyers in Boston, but you outshone them all." He paused, meeting my eyes. "I was wrong, Sophie. I thought legacy meant Carlos taking over. but I see now. You're the one who's earned it." His words hit me like a truck, but I stayed composed. "Why now?" I asked. "After everything, why say this now?" He met my gaze, raw honesty in his expression. "Because I saw what you're truly capable of. I failed you, but I'm sorry." He leaned forward slightly. "Come back to Martinez and Associates. Take the lead. We need you." I stood there, stunned. The moment I'd dreamed of was finally here, but it was heavy with everything that had happened. I sat back in my chair, my father's words echoing in my mind. "What about Carlos?" I asked. He sighed deeply. "He'll stay, but in a role that actually fits him. This is about you, Sophie, and what you deserve." I nodded, my thoughts racing. "I need time to think," I said. "This isn't a simple choice." He nodded, understanding completely. "Take whatever time you need." I just had to say it. He paused at the door, turning back one last time. "Sophie, I'm proud of you. You're better than I ever was." His small smile lingered as he left, leaving me with a storm of emotions swirling inside. Pride, anger, hope, all mixed together as I sat at my desk, staring out at the Boston harbor. Now it's late, and I'm lying in bed, the city lights filtering through my window. My father's offer is everything I once wanted, to shape Martinez and Associates, to claim my legacy. But going back means facing old wounds and working with Carlos, who never valued my struggle. Staying here at Thompson and Associates, I've built something real, a place where I'm seen for who I am. The choice feels impossible, tearing me between my past and my future. But maybe that's the point. Sometimes proving yourself isn't about getting back what was taken from you. It's about building something even better on your own terms. What would you do in my situation? Would you go back to claim what should have been yours, or keep building something new? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I could really use your perspective. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've seen me fight, fall, but rise stronger. If my story hit home, hit that subscribe button and join me. Every case, every choice is a step toward the truth. Let's keep building our futures together, one victory at a time.